We're honored to be joined by Lakers radio analyst Mychal Thompson. And Mychal, we've had a chance to see the Blazers and Lakers tip it off for the first time this season earlier, but you've obviously had much more exposure to this year's Lakers squad. I just want to get your general thoughts on this year's team and what you've really noticed about Coach Walton and this unit for the first year.
Well, guys, young, which is no excuse, because I always say, people always use that as an excuse. Well, we're young and this and that. These guys have been playing basketball since they were 8 and 10 years old. You should be able to figure it out by now, right? As you go at different levels. And we're 30-something, almost 40 games into the season, so you got to learn how to be more consistent and how to bring it every night. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to win every night, because the other guys get paid too, like Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum and these guys. They're good too. But you just got to bring more consistency, and they should know how to do that by now, even though there's only a lot of guys second, third, fourth year in the league.
And I'm curious, this is obviously the first year without Kobe Bryant in 18-20 seasons for the Lakers, so it's going to be different. But my question is, what is the most different aspect about Laker basketball this season without Kobe on the court?
Well, it's a lot different. The circus isn't following us around the country wherever we go. It was just like being in a rock band last year, man, with the Beatles or the Rolling Stones, because it was Kobe's last tour of duty. And everywhere we went, it was a sellout. Everybody wanted to see the Lakers. Fans would come around the hotel and by the dozens, if not the hundreds, and so they can get a glimpse of Kobe. So watching that traveling circus was fun. But this year it's more about, developing the team and guys now getting back on track. Luke Walton is the new coach, playing in his system and learning how to play the style that he wants to play. So it's been a struggle, but the guys are getting better in the last few games. So I expect them to get better and be within a few games of that 8th seed all season long.
And I'm curious, you mentioned the fact that there's no longer that circus following Kobe Bryant in his retirement tour, and so there's a little bit less attention on this team this year as there was last year. How does that impact the players and their development, and the fact now that is there room to breathe for the players on this roster? I mean, how does that really change things for these guys?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Last year was all about Kobe and saying goodbye to him and ushering him out with some style and grace. But now it's all about, okay, now let's see what we got here. This young core of players, just like what the Blazers were a couple of years ago with the young Damian Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge. Now it's the Lakers' time to see what this young 4-5 guys are like, what they can be like in the future as they progress and get better and better. So it's all about now developing the team as opposed to just focusing on saying bye to Kobe.
Mychal, watching the Lakers play, I've had a chance to watch them play maybe a handful of times this year. What appears to stand out to me are guys starting to work really hard at settling into roles and role identification. And one guy in particular that I want to ask you about is Julius Randle. He is emerging, or appears to be emerging, as a real playmaker, particularly comfortably making plays down the stretch of games. Is that a small sample size, me seeing a couple games, or is that a role he's growing into?
No, you're very astute. Julius loves to playmake. He's a big guy, big, strong guy, but he handles the ball like a guard in traffic or at full court, going end to end. He's one of the best going end to end with the dribble from big guy, him and LeBron. No, it's not LeBron, but he handles the ball very smoothly, and he's good. He's fun to watch when he's in transition. And then, like I said, he loves to be a playmaker. He always tries to get about 8 to 10 assists a game, and his game he's still a little bit raw offensively, but he's very athletic and very skilled in handling the ball.
And then the other player who seems to be kind of growing up in public, I mean, just watching his maturity from last year, where I thought immaturity characterized his game, to this year, is D'Angelo Russell. I mean, he seems to be comfortable in a leadership role with the basketball.
Yeah, Luke Walton said that he and Julius Randle now are starting to understand what it takes to be a professional, to be like a Damian Lillard. You see that young man, how he came into the league, and he was just all about business, focus. And now these guys understand to be at that level, or try to get to that level where Damian is at. And they understand that this is a business. You got to be focused. You got to know how to separate your friends from your business and to show up and go to work. And Luke Walton said the young guys on his team now are starting to understand that.
Obviously, with Klay playing for Luke last season in the Warriors, and then Luke now coaching the Lakers this season, what have you observed about Luke Walton as far as him being the right man for this job to sort of rebuild this Lakers franchise with this young core of players?
Well, he's a smart coach, obviously. A champion as a player, champion as an assistant coach. He's a player's coach. He's young enough to where he likes the same music as these guys like, so he can identify with these guys. He's not long from being in the league. So these guys, the young guys, really identify with him and trust what he says because he's kind of like in their era, and they remember him as a player too. Like none of these guys remembered Byron Scott, even though they know his history. But with Luke, they saw him as a player as they were growing up. They saw him with the Warriors and win a championship there and how he handled himself. So they trust what he's trying to teach them here.
Mychal, you mentioned the Lakers will probably be battling for that 8th playoff seed with the slew of other teams in the Western Conference. As you look at the Lakers moving forward, what do they really need to start honing in on, sharpening their game, and improving on?
Just mainly team defense. Late in the games, when the games are there to be won in the fourth quarter, to maintain that energy and focus and intensity on defense. That's been that's sort of like their Achilles heel, their sprained ankle or whatever, so let them down in games when they had a chance to win 5 or 6 or 7 other games. They just did not execute defensively, and the last couple of games they've been being more consistent on that end of the floor.
Mychal, when you talk about execute defensively, that's something that the Trailblazers are experiencing too and need to get solidified, if you will, on that end of the floor. What, in your opinion, is the key to the transition of teams' defensive maturity? We're looking at the Lakers, a good and talented offensive team. The Trailblazers, a good and talented offensive team. What's the key to transitioning and becoming a consistently good defensive team?
If you play basketball, all these guys love to score and strut around and put up the 3 fingers when they knock down threes. And everybody, look at me, everybody, I just scored, right? Because they take a lot of pride in that. Well, how about taking just as much pride and focus and energy and stopping your guy, too? As much as you love to score on a guy, how about getting that same type of enjoyment and thrill of being able to stop Damian Lillard or C.J. McCollum? Not even stop him, but slow him down and make it difficult because you're assigned to your guy and you're doing your assignment on defense. So the key is to take as much pride, as I try to tell that to my son Clay, take as much pride in stopping someone as you do in scoring on them, and you'll be a complete all-around player.
Mychal, you were a very good passing big man. I mean, among other things, you scored and were a complete player. But I look at Mason Plumlee and his ability to pass the ball and to read defenses. How valuable is that, and how much pressure does that put on the defense when a big can dissect with the pass?
Oh, yeah, man, that helps a lot. You have 2 guards back there who can play make, even Evan Turner, who's good with playmaking and finding the open guys. And now you have a big guy that you can run your offense through like Bill Walton did back in the day for the Trailblazers. And you're right, that was part of my game that I took a lot of pride in. And Jack Ramsey would have me up in the high post and have Jim Paxson cut or Clyde Drexler or Calvin Nat duck into the post. And I would hit them with those beautiful timed passes right on the money, boy, just like Magic Johnson. Never threw the ball away and got it deflected because our passes were right there on time. I took a lot of pride in that. And Mason Plumlee's very good at doing that. It's a very underrated part of his game. He's smart. Hey, kid went to Duke, so obviously he knows how to play the game.
Well, Mychal, we were giving him some love because he's the first Blazer to have a double-double, first Blazer big man to have a double-double in rebounds and assists since yourself in 1984. So certainly a exceptional game from him the other night. But I'm curious, you talked about a little while ago about how the NBA has changed and guys are strutting around hitting the 3-pointers. I want to ask you, what direction do you think the league will start going in? Are we going to continue to see this offensive explosion, or do you think we might see teams start to revert down to more of a big guy starting to slow the game down a little bit?
Well, you find me the next Shaq, and you'll see the game slow down and get the ball to that guy or the next Kareem, but they ain't out there. Everybody's now out by the 3-point line shooting threes. Even the big guys like Myers Leonard. Look at that body on that young man. And if I was on that coaching staff, I'd say, you 7 feet, 265 pounds. Why are you out here shooting threes? We got guards to do that. Get your big butt under the basket and take advantage of that size and touch around the basket. So the game has now progressed where everybody wants to shoot threes. Everybody spreads the court. And whether you're 7 feet tall or as short as Muggsy Bogues, it's all about the 3 now.
Mike, I think we should go back to where we play low post basketball and allow players to play in puka shells.
That's right. Exactly. Back in the day, you know what? That's a good idea. Let's go back to the days when we didn't have headphones on. You weren't looking down at our mobile devices all day. We actually had conversations in the locker room, on the team buses, on the team plane, and nobody didn't get isolated into their own little world with all the mobile devices. That's the problem with the league these days.
And as you look at the problems with the league and they continue to get ironed out, the schedule continues to move along. And the Blazers and Lakers, they tip off obviously tomorrow. And Blazers get the best of the Lakers here in the Moda Center the other night. But when you look at the Lakers in this game and what Portland's been doing so well lately, especially CJ McCollum, how well he's played when Damian Lillard was out of the lineup, how do the Lakers really match up against Portland in this game tomorrow night?
Oh, very good. It's a battle of the backcourts. You've got Lou Williams, Jordan Clarkson, Russell, and Nick Young going against C.J. Lillard, Evan Turner, and Alan Crabb. So I think that's where the game is going to be won. Obviously, the big guys up front are going to hustle, do their jobs, but whichever backcourt outplays the other tomorrow will win the game. And Damian had a sort of a pedestrian game for him because that was his first game back in 5 or 6 games. But coming down here to L.A., where everybody likes to show off anyway, Damian Lillard, as good as he is, I expect him to have a 30-plus game tomorrow. So Lakers backcourt, they better match up with. I would expect CJ and Damian to go for 60-plus tomorrow. So the Lakers backcourt better be ready.
And this is the third time this month, or these teams will play 3 times this month. When you were a player, did you enjoy playing one team this frequently over the course of a month, or is it sometimes difficult when you see the same opponent this frequently during the regular season?
Oh, no, it's anytime you can play the Lakers when I played back in my day, you loved it because I met Kareem and Magic and Jamal Wilkes, James Worthy, the who's who of the NBA was either coming to Memorial Coliseum or we were going to be in LA at the Great Western Forum. So that was exciting and fun to see a team like the Lakers 3 times in a row. Unfortunately, we lost 3 times in a row against those guys most of the time.
And obviously, this is the first opportunity I've had to chat with you since Klay Thompson went off for 60. And I'm curious, a big guy like yourself when you played, when did Klay make that transition growing up into being a three-point shooter? Did you ever try to make him a low-post player, or when did you decide, hey, my son here is going to be an outside gunner?
Yeah, he was always a guard. I always knew he was never going to be 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet, never back to the basket player. So he was going to be long and rangy, but not the kind of guy you're going to just stick in the post, because I knew he was going to be a wing-type player. So as he was growing up as a kid, playing up there in Lake Oswego basketball, youth leagues and stuff, even though he was a little bit longer and taller than his teammates, I always wanted him to be a guard, learn how to handle the ball, and learn how to play on the outside and move his feet and stuff like that. So, and when he was 7 or 8 years of age, the guy was knocking down NBA range three-pointers already. So I knew with a touch like that, that jumper was going to take him a long way.
Well, Mychal, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. We hope you enjoy the game tomorrow, and as always, we appreciate having you on.
Yeah, we look forward to coming back up there in a couple of weeks. Just make sure that it ain't 20 degrees this time, will you?
Hey, we're going to do our best. This is unheard of. I don't know if you ever experienced anything like this that we're going through right now, but this is definitely unlike anything else. That's Mychal Thompson, Lakers radio analyst. Thank you once again.